from Darfeasy Studios in Eddyville, Kentucky. It's time for another episode of Darfeasy's TV Recap. Tonight, Colors is finally back. 7 and 9 gets her revenge, and the Lone Cyberman is revealed. Your host, Darfeasy. Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Darfeasy's TV Recap. Yeah, so, once again, I've been a little behind on my TV recap, but you know what? I'm only a day behind today's episode, and really, I guess, if you want to look down to it, I'm only 12 hours behind, because this episode will probably post around 3 a.m., so I'm doing pretty good, so now I am finally back on schedule for these next two episodes, because I'm getting ready to go on vacation, so I actually won't be able to do one, of these episodes. So that episode will be late. So I'll be back behind again. But you know what? It happens. It happens all the time. Alright, let's get right into it. We got Doctor Who Series Season 12, Episode 8, The Haunting of Villa. Something, I can't read my writing. So this episode, basically, the Doctor and her companions go back to the woman who created Frankenstein, and it was a very cool little, like, horror little kind of episode of Doctor Who. Doctor Who always has these little cool horror episodes, but what I was not expecting was this was the first episode of the 3-part finale of Season 12. This episode introduces the lone Cyberman that Captain Jack Harkness warned us about. And what I liked about this episode was that it was very similar to a Frankenstein story. You have this monster who is not really complete. He's kind of ghoulish, and he has body parts around. It was very Frankenstein-ish, and that's what I really liked about this episode. But the Doctor has to face that consequence. It's like, if I sacrifice this person, the person who created Frankenstein would not live, and the entire history, just a small thing in history could change the way the world is. So she had to make that sacrifice, and hopefully she has it due in the future. So I am ready for these next two parts of the episode. I'm hoping to see Captain Jack Harkness. I'm hoping to see the Master return. I hope to see the Black Doctor character come back, because I've been loving this season of Doctor Who so far, and I'm hoping the last two parts can be a all-time classic Doctor Who episodes that I want to go back and watch over and over again. Alright, let's move on to Batwoman, Season 1, Episode 12, Take Your Choice. So, at the end of last episode, there's two Beths in this world, and basically only one Beth can exist. And they're trying to figure out a way to really keep both Beths in the world. They drew everything possible except Star Labs, who are the ones who handle these multiple humans on Earth. I'm pretty sure if anyone could have found a solution, they could. And that's one of the things I found really wrong with this episode, is they said, we're doing everything we can, but we just can't. And ultimately, she has to make a choice, and she chooses the good Beth, but it turns out Mouse's dad is back around the town, around Gotham, and she kills the good Beth, so evil Beth, or Alice, stays alive. It was a good I enjoyed the episode. Just, there was that one big glaring story issue I had a problem with, that if you're going to have Batwoman and all these characters in the same world, then you can't have a big plot hole like that. Like, well, why did you call them? They're only Flash Kid, super speed over there. I know it's timey-wimey thing, but if it's something I want to bitch about, so I want to bitch about. So let's move on to The Flash, Season 6, Episode 12, A Girl Named Sue. So this episode was awesome because it mostly focuses around Ralph's character, he's been after this girl all season long. He's been tracking her down, trying to figure out what happened to this girl named Sue, and he finds the girl, and you know what? The girl was awesome. She reminded me of like a Catwoman character. She comes from like a rich family, and she still just because she enjoys the hell out of it. And there's just was such a great chemistry between the two actors that I thought was great. I loved that girl who played her. I thought I thought her wit was great, and I really liked her and Ralph's dynamic between the episode. And also in this episode, we're seeing fake Iris getting the mirror gun for some reason. We're seeing Barry and Joe, they're investigating Black Hole in their own way. So I really did enjoy this episode of The Flash, but what I liked the most about it was it kind of had like that Indiana Jones kind of feel, adventure to it, and it had like that Catwoman Batman kind of vibe episode. So I really did enjoy this episode of The Flash. Let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow, Season 5, Episode 5, Ahead of Her Time. This was an okay episode. Sarah goes off, so she's not in this episode at all. But I think this episode was basically basically she's going off to Star City to deal with the funeral of Oliver Queen. I did like this episode. They go back in time to the French Revolution, where a girl who looks just like Nora Dark, I believe that's the girl's character's name. I forget what her actual name was, but anyways, she had this like perfume that made everyone want to worship her, and people were dying. And it was like First Revolution, everyone was being kind, and they're just partying. And it was a weird little episode, to be honest with you. My favorite parts of the episode though was the Constantine stuff, because Constantine, he's back at his house. I think this was connected to the Constantine TV show that was on NBC, a show I did not watch, but I did like what they were doing with her, with Constantine and the mom of the big bad this season. I really did enjoy this episode. I liked that part of Legends of Tomorrow. I didn't like everything else, and also they kind of introduced this other day, and at the end of the episode, Constantine dies, maybe? Basically, she had the villain of the season. She had the charm, or the watch or the something of Constantine, which said like he's gonna die in 10 years from lung cancer, and because he smokes pretty much every chance he gets. So I'm curious to see what they do next in Legends of Tomorrow. Let's move on to Survivor Season 40 Episode 2. It's like a Survivor economy. So this episode of Survivor, we have so Amber's on extinction, on edge of the edge of extinction. Her and Natalie are looking for the next day to get a survivor token, and basically the power this time around is to give someone a chance to. It's that twist that one girl walked out on last season. Basically, before the votes are even voted on, if you feel like you're in danger, you can just give your power to Jeff and you can walk out of Tribal Council and not be... It's safety without power. So it's kind of interesting, but she gave it to Jeremy, and I'm digging the Survivor tokens. Also in this episode, we have two people fighting immunity idols. We have Denise fighting on the One Tribe. And I like what they're doing. It's kind of like what they did on the Edge of Extinction season, where they have to wield half of the... They basically have two parts of the idol. She has to wield it to one person. He has to hold on to it till nightfall, and then she can give it back to her, and then it has the full power of an idol. If you don't wield to someone, it's not an idol. It just doesn't have no power. So, like, it was crazy because Denise was like, she was telling Adam, she was like, well, should I give it to Parvati? Like, maybe build an ally? And Adam's like, no, that's stupid. Give it to me. That way we have an idol. And, like, Adam's very smart. I like Adam. I think Adam's playing a pretty damn good game. People may not like Adam, but I thought he's been playing brilliantly the last two episodes of the season. And Kim finds the idol. And, Kim, I consider Kim one of the greatest winners to ever play, really. She played one of the best singular games of all time, but she's just not off to a good start. And she gave her other half of the idol to Sophie. And Sophie's like, I'm the wrong person she should have gave it to. She should have given it to Tyson. She would have had an idol. But, yeah, I mean... I'm going to get her out now as soon as possible. So it kind of created a bigger target on Kim. So I don't expect Kim to make it much further. Boston Rob's tribe lost. Basically, I don't know who they're going to go after. I guess they were going to go after Jeremy, but Danny kind of self-explodes. It's kind of weird for a winner to do this, and just to play such a rookie mistake, because I think Danny was okay. She probably would have been fine, but she just did not play the situation right, and then Danny went home, and that was the episode. It was a pretty unanimous situation. It was an 8-1 vote, so there goes Danny. Is her story over? I don't know. She's going to the edge of extinction, so technically it's not over, but it's going to be curious to see what she does the rest of the season if she can come back. So I did enjoy this episode of Survivor. Also, there was some funny stuff with Tony when Tony had to build the ladder to get papayas off of the off the trees, and Tyson's like, I was like, no, he can't be serious. How's this man alive? So I'm loving this season of Survivor so far. Let's move on to Young Sheldon, Season 3, Episode 16, Pasadena. So this episode of Young Sheldon, we have Sheldon wants to go to Pasadena because Stephen Hawking is giving a lecture in Pasadena. And basically his parents can't afford it because, they're broke and poor or whatever. But Dr. Sturgis gets Sheldon gets the university to buy a ticket to Pasadena to California so Sheldon can go and see Stephen Hawking. So it's just like the university's like, yeah, we want to keep Sheldon in this at this university. So I did like to see some of that, and I love the moments on the plane where Sheldon's having a Sheldon freak out, and George is saying, just be like Mr. Spock, I'll be Kirk, and just be brave. And I love that moment whenever I just love the father-son moment. I thought it was such a touching little moment, and I think that's when Young Sheldon is a special show. So when they have those great little father-son moments. They've had multiple of them, and I think this one's just as good. And it was cool to see Sheldon whenever he's in the Caltech and he sees the cafeteria where we've seen it a million times in The Big Bang Theory, where he even says it in the episode. He's like, I can see myself being here. And George says, yeah, you would fit in here. And yeah, it was a cool episode of Young Sheldon. I really enjoyed it. So let's move on to Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Season 7, Episode 4, The Jimmy Jam Games 2. This episode was a little fun-ish Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode. Basically, they're having games, whoever wins gets a day off, and Peralta almost loses his car to Hitchcock. That's pretty much it. There's not much more deeper to talk about this episode, so I want to move on to the next episode. So let's move on to Star Trek Picard, Season 1, Episode 5, Star City Raged. So at the end of last episode, 7 and 9 pops up into the ship that they're all going to. They're going to the city to find that Bruce Maddox character, who was kind of the creator of Synthetic Lives, kinda. So it was a cool little. I liked the episode because we get to see a lot of 7 and 9. I watched one episode of Star Trek Voyager and I really dug it. And I might during the summer I might go back and watch something like Star Trek Next Generation, Voyager, and maybe Deep Space Nine. So I really did enjoy this. I love seeing her character, like her revenge kind of vibe to it. And I like that moment with her and Picard where she asks Picard. She said, "Whenever you left the collective, how easy was it to regain your humanity?" And he said, "Oh, it was easy." And she was like, "Was it really?" He was like, "No, but I'm trying." And she's like, "Yeah, we're both trying." And then I love that moment at the end where she's a vigilante. She gets her revenge on a character who I guess was in Voyager. So I did really enjoy this episode of Picard. Also, we see Agus, she kills Bruce Maddox. I did not. I kind of saw it coming in the episode. At the end, I was like, something's about to happen. She's gonna. Is she on the Romulan Tau Bashat, whatever they're called, side? And I'm curious to see where they go with these last 5 episodes of Picard. Let's move on to Diary of a Future President, Season 1, Episode 6. Habeas Corpus. This episode, basically, the main girl, she is in detention, and she doesn't fit in with these detention kids, basically, and they're called the 6 o'clockers. And it was a cool little episode because the whole point of the episode is to not judge kids off of reputation and rumors. And I thought it was cool because she was able to gain new friends, and I did like the episode. And also it was a little touching moment with the brother character, who is basically he's missing his dad, and his girlfriend is talking about her dad, and I guess she's just oblivious to her dad, to her boyfriend's dad being dead. So it was a little sad little moment for him, but it was a sweet little moment episode. So let's move on to Star Wars Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1, The Bad Batch. Listen, Clone Wars ended about 5-6 years ago, and we got those last episodes on Netflix, and I never thought we would see Clone Wars come back. And I was so happy when the new season of Clone Wars was announced, and I've been looking forward to watching this final season of Clone Wars. My only gripe about Clone Wars, I wish it was all at once, because I hate this week-to-week bullshit. I wish Clone Wars came out all at once, because I've actually never watched Clone Wars week to week. I've always watched it all at once, so this is going to be a different experience for me. I will say, when I heard the Clone Wars intro, seeing the word Star Wars: The Clone Wars, I wooed, because it was cool. So the episode is called the Bad Batch, and it's basically these clones who were bred, were basically the special ops of the clone troops. Like it's like they're the Navy SEALs to the clone troopers. They all have their own special little thing they're good at. Like, one can read signals. Like, he especially, one's super strong. One can track people. It was so cool. But then basically the Separatists have basically figured out Rex's strategies, and it's basically because they believe Echo has been. They basically, at the end of the episode, find out that Echo, a former clone who was one of the clones from the first few seasons of Clone Wars, with him, Heavy, and Fives, all those clones who helped create the patterns and the codes that the 501st Legion, which was later the Empire developed, that we saw in Star Wars Rebels, used to the modern day Empire that we saw in the original trilogy, back to Echo, Fives, Cody, Rex. So it's cool to see that, and I love the clone stories. I love the clone minis episodes, like the ARC Trooper episodes, whenever the clones are going through Camino. I love those episodes. And I thought this episode was so little cool. And like I said, I love the Bad Batch because they're all special. And I liked how Rex is like, we'll draw them all in. And he's like, the one guy's like, yeah, that's not how we do it. We just charge. And seeing them fight was pretty cool. So I did really like this episode of Bad Batch Clone Wars episode. So yeah, I'm really liking it, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. So let's finish this episode out, and let's talk about My Hero Academia Season 4, Episode 17, Relief for Licensed Trainees. So basically, they're trying to inspire these kids from last week, and basically they inspire them. They basically, one kid who's like, I am tired of being talked down to. Baka just treats him like a regular person, and he just loves that. I mean, sometimes people don't want to be talked down to. They just want to be talked to people. So I did enjoy this episode of My Hero Academia. Also, Deku gets weirded out by Laser Belly Guy. I forget what the guy's character's name is. But basically, he just he's like, hey, I believe in you. And you're just like, he's being really creepy right now, but it's just this way of show he cares. So guys, that is another episode of Darth Easy TV recap. I finally caught up on TV. I actually will be tomorrow. I'll get to watch my season premiere of Better Call Saul and the next episode of Doctor Who. So next week's episode should come out on the scheduled release date, Sunday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm looking forward to actually talk about TV on when I like to talk about it. So guys, Also, check out this week's episode of the Easy K Show. That's my other podcast I do. This week, I believe we are doing a movie news episode. We're talking about some of the biggest movie news stories. We'll probably talk about the new Batsuit. I'm kind of curious to see what Rainy Cage thinks about that. Also, check out the Darth Easy YouTube channel. I do post movie reviews. I haven't had any in a while, but I do have a collection of movie reviews, TV reviews from all kinds. So I have tons of videos for you to enjoy if you're want some Darth Easiness. So guys, until next week, all too easy.